I'm originally from Amy Street, Suva. I grew up in Suva, went to school, Maris Brothers Primary, High School, and I worked at the CWM Hospital as an intern, casualty officer and registrar for a number of years from 1980, and I left in 86 for further training. And I trained as a physician and a cardiologist, and as an interventional cardiologist. I practice on the Gold Coast. I keep coming to Fiji regularly. I've been doing that for many years, from 1994 and then 1998. And after 2003, I come 4 times a year. And since I started the cardiac unit and I installed the first cath lab in 2009, I make about 3 to 4 visits a year. I haven't been able to do that for the last 2 years because of COVID. And with me, we have brought in a lot of other volunteers. All of us are volunteers, by the way, my colleagues. I think we should really be talking about the management of heart diseases, right? It's not just a cath lab. A cath lab is only one part of the management of a. So the machine is working, machine is not working, we're missing the. Don't treat heart disease just on the basis of that machine, which is crucial, which is a very integral part of heart care, and which is the nucleus of heart care. And without that, you come to a big stop. But heart disease overall management is what we should be looking for in Fiji, because Fiji has among the highest incidence of heart disease in the world. We have a very young population dying prematurely or diseased very prematurely, with personal, family, social, and economic consequences. A huge population out of proportion. We have 4 times the heart disease incidence in Australia. It's a massive problem. This is the coronary artery disease. There are different types of heart disease. So we're talking about heart disease that gives heart attacks. Then we have things like rheumatic heart disease, which is also quite a big problem, but not as big as this. Then contributions from high blood pressure, rhythm problems, things like that, and the combination of diabetes adding in. See? So heart diseases is how we should manage it. What we should be doing and what we are trying to do is to set up a cardiac service that looks after the breadth of this problem. In the management of heart problems, the main thing is prevention. We have to prevent heart disease. But we have so many people who go beyond what we can do with prevention and medication. And that's where the cath lab and the angiogram facility comes in. Because until I started the unit in 2009, there was nothing in Fiji. You see, we had these amazing teams coming from abroad to do some limited valvular heart surgery, and we give our total respect to them. But what had not happened in Fiji was the development of a local service utilizing the amazing knowledge, capability of our local people. So that background was never tapped. We're always relying on these overseas people. And I, having worked in Fiji and know my colleagues, how good they are, provided the training, once the training received, they would do so well. So we got this machine into Fiji because heart disease management cannot be just up to prevention and medication. There are many, many people who need stents, who need bypass surgery, who need pacemakers. So for that reason, we started a cath lab. And the cath labs and these things are expensive. To keep it cost neutral, we got second-hand equipment, as can be done, because we can procure very good used equipment. And through the good offices of the Rotary Club in Australia and linking with the amazing people at the Rotary Club of Suva, we were able to get a machine from Sydney to Suva, and we eventually we installed it and we started running it. And during that time, we started training our own people. Local visits were made by amazing cardiologists from Australia and New Zealand with nurses. So we had on-the-job local training going on, to the extent that our own doctors and nurses became more and more proficient. 2 of our doctors were able to go to New Zealand, taken by one of the senior cardiologists from New Zealand. They spent a year each there, but even when they went, they had already become very well trained, and they were far better accomplished when they came back. So we have an amazing local team ready to roll, ready to run. If we have the support, if we have the backup, if we have the recognition that we have an amazing team here, but we don't have that background to utilize the amazing potential that we have created. Now, all of us are good at looking after heart failure, angina, chest pain, and we must do that. We must ask about smoking cessation, diet, exercise, weight reduction. But there are so many of our patients who need that beyond treatment, who come in with bad chest pain, who need urgent angiograms, who need stents, who need pacemakers. So we have a team in Fiji ready, but they also need their equipment. And the main equipment is the cath lab. So the cath lab is the linchpin. It's a kind of a rate limiting step. Without a cath lab, everything stops. But everybody doesn't need to go to a cath lab. Who needs to go to a cath lab? Who doesn't? Is a decision that is made by the patient's condition, the GP, the hospital doctors. And we have 3 or 4 very, very accomplished hospital doctors in Fiji. Dr. Sukafa, Dr. Shaheen Nusser, Dr. Bharat Bali, Dr. Nilesh Chand. These are 4 of the names that come to mind. They are amazingly qualified to look after these people. But you have 4 people in the whole of the country with a heart disease incidence that is 4 times that of Australia. And we have ability to run the cath lab only 2 days a week, when it is running. So we have all these constraints to look at, you see. If we have a machine that we are bringing secondhand, it needs a lot of care. It needs a lot of caution. It needs a service contract to be fulfilled regularly. We get cheap machines free of charge. We negotiate very good service contracts, but the service contracts have to be, paid for. We can't get everything free. When a machine breaks down, we don't have a service contract. We are at the mercy of my friend Peter Coons, and he comes and he fixes them up. But after a while, a machine that is already old, 5 years is a great use out of it. So we got a second machine coming. It's been difficult to get machines and things in the COVID environment. But when that other machine broke down, we had this other machine ready to come from Melbourne. So it's arriving, as we know, on the 20th of January. But then it takes about 3 weeks to install. 6 of our people will have to come from Melbourne to install it. It's a huge machine. It weighs about 2 tons. It hangs from a ceiling. And all our cardiac procedures that we do in these developed countries, they are possible with some limitations, but we can still provide a lot of great service. We can put stents. We can treat heart attacks. We can do pacemakers, and more. If the cath lab and the cardiac unit is fully staffed, fully supported. These are not easy decisions in a country with so many other requirements, heavy health requirements. But that's what the ideal we would like. 80% of coronary artery disease can be preventable. So that's in an ideal world. No country can claim to say that it has got its preventive and lifestyle and treatment measures perfect. So I wouldn't blame any country or criticize any country. I think Fiji has done a very good job in that respect, but you can always improve. But this is at the ground level. It's not a very expensive exercise to bring in a preventive strategy. Messaging, you can go all the way from school, seminars, general practices, hospitals, to emphasize smoking cessation, exercise, dietary measures, weight loss, So these are general things that any medical unit, medical department, nurses, radio programs, TV shows, they all can do and coordinate. Because there was that tertiary facility lacking in Fiji, because that was lacking, my efforts have been mainly to get into the procedural side of cardiology, to see that we have a core group of people who are trained to do angiograms, to look at the arteries of the heart, to put stents in them. Because those things, for the population that we serve in Fiji, these are very, very critical maneuvers, treatment procedures. And you're right, when people have, people get stuck. After a while, you can do all the prevention you want. You can have all the medication you want, but they've got that 90% blockage in that main artery of the heart. Believe me, that's not going to go away too easily with all this. It may, but it often doesn't, particularly the unstable patients present to hospital. So they need to be taken to hospital. They need to be taken to the cath lab. They need to have the angiogram. They need to have the balloon and a stent put in. And many a times this is possible. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes they need heart surgery. Sometimes things are too far gone. But that diagnostic procedure in that cath lab is vital. And it is important. I had hoped that after 2009, we wouldn't be scrounging around for second-hand machines. We would have a facility in place in Fiji where we buy a brand new machine. We have an amazing service contract. The company comes and services it. Well, machines break down everywhere. Even here, they break down. But when we have this place, Engineers are flown away to next day. The machine is sorted out. There's a very regular arrangement for the machine to run more frequently. See, we are at, public-private partnerships, and a lot of money will go into that, rightly so. Perhaps I'm not into that, but if some of that money could be put to ensuring that the CWM Hospital, as a nucleus, as a hub of the country and the Pacific, has a fully funded, fully fledged, fully supported cardiac service running, 365 days a year, we would be saving many more lives. We would be making an edifice of healthcare that Fiji would be proud of, and we could make it a regional center of excellence to which Australia, New Zealand, and other major countries could contribute in a very meaningful way. That has not happened. We have been trying our best to get this message across about the importance of this cardiac unit, importance of the people we have trained, and the need for an ongoing cardiac unit where this cath lab is a very big part of our treatment, our armamentarium. And when the cath lab is broken down, there are a lot of people who need the procedures. There's a huge waiting list of people who are getting chest pain all the time, who are coming to hospital regularly. And I get messages, I discuss with my colleagues in Fiji. So we can do our best with medication, but up to a point. But these are the people who need the angiogram, and they are the people who need to go through that cath lab, which is not working at the moment. But hopefully after this next machine, our authorities will ensure that we do not have this situation where we are lacking a machine. We could easily run 2 cath labs in Fiji full time and not find any time to waste. There's that much disease in Fiji. And where a cath lab is located is also very important. A cath lab has to be located in a busy general hospital where there are a lot of cardiac patients. You don't want to locate it somewhere where you'll hardly see a heart patient. These patients often have to be brought in from the emergency department into the cath lab. Minutes count. Sometimes when someone is having a heart attack, our teaching is that you try to open up that artery within 20 minutes. You can't take them from one place to another. And the CWM Hospital is the ideal place for the cath lab. It's the busiest center in Fiji. It does more heart attacks than my own hospital in the Gold Coast. And where you have a busy center, you have a highly practiced unit. They are working together all the time. They have seen these serious cases. They gel together. Your technician, your nurses, your radiographer, your cardiologist, all have to work like one team. That teamwork is built when you have a large patient load. When you do 1 case a month or 1 every 2 weeks, that doesn't allow the team to gel, you see. So that is the other very big reason to have this unit at CWM Hospital. Now, not everybody with a heart attack will be able to present into CWM immediately and have this urgent treatment, but we have done that in Fiji. A few times when we are there, we've done that. And it's an amazing result. When we did the first case in Fiji on a Friday, a young fellow, 40 years old, having a massive heart attack, and I was pushed by my colleagues to do it because there was no other option. And when a totally blocked artery opens up in front of you, you have a new man, a new life, And the thing is, a lot of that can be done by our colleagues in Fiji, but we won't be able to extend that type of treatment to a huge population because our services are limited, admittedly so. But what we can do is we can try to make sure that we have clot-dissolving drug therapy, good, simple clot-dissolving drug therapy available across the health centers, across the hospitals. And once that is delivered for heart attacks, bring these people in very quickly, within a day or 2 if possible, and get the angiogram done and see what is the residual and try to fix that up with a stent. This is just one part of heart care. There are many, many other aspects to look at. And the cath lab becomes a nucleus. This machine that we talk about becomes a nucleus where so much can be done. We can open up blocked arteries in the legs and reduce the amputation rate in Fiji. We have the highest amputation rate in the world, you see. So these are the issues that we need to address as a community. I can't say that any one individual, any one institution, any one authority anywhere can sort all this out. And there's a lot that needs to be done. The challenges and opportunities. I gave a talk some years ago, challenges and opportunities in heart care in Fiji. There are many, many challenges, but believe me, the opportunities are just as many.